Men are being taught that leadership is toxic. Men aren't being encouraged to lead anymore.
You talk to women, you hear the complaint that, oh, men aren't men anymore.
Men are scared to step out line for the simple reason. Do they lose their job? Do they lose their wife? Do they lose the respect in their local community? Their kids' sporting team hate them? I mean, that's where that poor bastard has died.
The war on masculinity, is it coming from women? When deep down women are wanting us to be masculine. Who's it coming from? Well, where's it coming from? Is there a political agenda?
Welcome to the Men's Collective podcast. In this space, we keep the conversations real, inspiring, and challenging you to become the man you are destined to be. Your family needs you to be better. Your friends need you to be better. We need you to be better. We are your hosts, the Average Joes.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the Men's Collective podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Taylor, and as always, I'm joined by some very good mates and fellow Average Joes, ready to have another raw, unfiltered conversation. No fluff, no BS, no political correctness, just real talk about what it means to be a man in today's world. Jamie, Mikie, Steve, how are you fellas?
Good as.
Yep. Waiting for a second. I don't want to do a right, mate. It's going to hit us very soon. It's moments of like, we're going to hurry up with this podcast because the cyclone is about to hit. No, we're good. Look, before we do get started, if you're new to the Average Joes, end of this podcast, do yourself a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And look, if you haven't already, grab some merch over at the website, www.averagejoes.net.au. And fellas, look, don't just listen, get involved. Find your nearest Average Joes meetup this week, because if there's one thing we need more of in this world, it's men sharpening other men. Right now, we're launching a new series called The War on Masculinity. Let's call it for what it is. There's a deliberate, systematic push to redefine, weaken, and in some cases, outright erase in masculinity as we know it. We're being told aggression is toxic, yet there's moments in life when a man must be aggressive. We're told traditional leadership is outdated, but what happens to families, communities, and nations when men stop leading? We're told to be softer, quieter, more passive. But does that really serve men, or does it just make us more controllable? There is a war on what it means to be a man. And for too long, too many men have stayed silent, unwilling to push back, unwilling to even speak. Kicking it off is a big one. We're calling today's episode number 1 in the series, calling it Thermostats and Thermometers. Think about it. What does a thermostat do? Thermostats set the temperature. It dictates the atmosphere in the room. It takes ownership over the climate. And what does a thermometer do? Well, a thermometer reacts to the temperature. It adjusts itself to match whatever is happening around it. It has no control. It simply reports on the condition it's been given. So ask yourself, as a man, are you a thermostat or are you a thermometer? Are you leading your family, your career, your personal growth? Or are you just adjusting yourself to match the world around you? Let's be real. Most men want to be thermostats, but in reality, a lot of the guys been conditioned to just be thermometers. And sadly, they don't even realize it. They wait for permission instead of taking action. They let the opinions of others dictate how they live. They constantly adjust to fit in instead of standing firm on their own values. And it's the hard truth. Society wants you to be a thermometer. Why? Because thermometers are easy to control. Thermometers go with the flow. They don't push back. Thermostats are dangerous. They challenge the status quo. They refuse to simply accept things as they are. They set the temperature for themselves, their families, and their communities. And strangely enough, historically, the men who changed the world were all thermostats. You take Winston Churchill, for example, a leader who refused to surrender. He didn't adjust to fear, but instead set the standard of resilience. Martin Luther King, a man who saw injustice and refused to be shaped by it. He reshaped the world instead. You look at Teddy Roosevelt, a man who lived by action, not reaction, who embraced hardship and forged his own path. You look at Nelson Mandela, a leader who set the tone of reconciliation and unity instead of reacting with bitterness and anger. They didn't wait for permission. They conformed to the expectations of their time. They set the temperature for everybody else. And that's the question we're diving into today. Why do some men take control while others just float? What keeps a man from being a thermostat? How can you shift from being reactive to proactive? So, let's be real. We are living in a thermometer epidemic. Men today are waiting for approval before they act. They're afraid to stand firm on their values. They're constantly adapting to please the world around them, swallowed up by comfort, distractions, and being passive. And here, what's even more dangerous, we don't even question it. Instead, we are rewarding this behaviour. Think about it. If a man stands his ground, he's called stubborn. If he pushes back, he's called aggressive. If he speaks for what he believes in, he's called toxic. But if a man adjusts, stays quiet, and conforms, he's celebrated. Here's the bigger red flag. Men are being taught that leadership is toxic. Men aren't being encouraged to lead anymore. They're being told to sit down, shut up, and just blend in. And it's no coincidence that when strong men disappear, society weakens. Families without strong fathers struggle. Communities without strong male leaders fall apart. Men without a mission become depressed, lost, and passive. So, let's ask the hard questions. Why are men being encouraged to be thermometers instead of thermostats? How has society conditioned men to be reactive instead of proactive? What are the first steps to reclaiming your role as a thermostat? The good news is you don't need to be a leader of a nation to be a thermostat, but you do need to be a leader of your own life. But look, the war on masculinity, it's real. It's up to us, the men who refuse to be thermometers, to fight back by living lives of strength, conviction, and leadership. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment, send us a message, let us know. Are you a thermostat or a thermometer? And look, if you're serious about growth, then look, you'll get along to an average Joe's meter. You can head to the website and find out all those details. So look, fellas, it's ready for an absolute big one. First question I want to ask you boys. I hope you're ready. Are we in a thermometer-style epidemic? We'll start with yes or no answers, and I'll come back to your reasons why. Jamie, are we in a thermostat-style epidemic? Sorry, a thermometer-style epidemic. Sure, are we? Yeah. Get confused with what stuff. Are we in a thermometer-style epidemic?
Can I check what you guys are going to say, but send me all. Yeah, just cut me out of this. But look, I think we are. And I think that, we've spoken about that. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Mikey, yes or no?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Look, I'm definitely on board. We are definitely in a thermometer.
I just says no. I said keep the edits.
Okay, I know your reasons why, Jamie. Why are we?
Well, I think there are so many people out there that just go with the flow, and they'll have one or two people that they might feel safe enough to be able to talk to, but they won't say it in front of a group of people because they're worried about how they're going to be portrayed or what's going to happen, So I think that fear of being, what's the word, extradited? Is, did I say it right, Steve? Well, I just said it's the way I know you. That's the live here. I'm just going to agree with you, Max. Yeah. The flow. Yeah, but I think one thing for me is that when a man stands up for what he believes, then you can trust that person. It's always a question that doesn't. It's always the fence sitters. That's always the hardest to trust for myself. So,
Mikey, you said yes as well, mate. Why are we in a thermometer-style epidemic?
Mate, I think there's so many reasons for it, but I guess as an adult, I would say that you have certain responsibilities, and one of them is putting food on the table, paying the bills, and we seem to go after people's livelihoods these days. You look at through COVID, they did it. Even now, the guy's getting cancelled left, right, and centre. The guy on the news the other day, the radio guy, getting cancelled for saying something. They hit you where it hurts. So I think a lot of guys are just too afraid to speak out. Because how do you provide for your family?
Mm. Who are the they? Because we use the word they a lot. Oh, you know what they say, or like in your commercials, then men are getting afraid to speak because of what they do or who.
Do you think they is just Karen, the collected Karen? Every time you say something, someone is offended,
and
it's whoever's the most vocal.
Steve, you said yes as well, buddy. Why's your answer yes?
Mate, I could talk for an hour on this, but I'll try to keep it short. I'm fortunate I'm probably the oldest person in the room, and when I grew up as a kid, it was pretty simple philosophies. You know, you respect your elders, you look after women, you treat people well, you know, like you treat them as you'd expect to be treated. Simple stuff, that's all Bible stuff. But today we've got this stupid lefty media attitude, you know, white blokes these days, I'm sorry to say it's not white old blokes, it's white everyday blokes. We just get smashed. It doesn't matter what you do, what you say, and we saw that, you know, in the media just recently. I'm sure we'll hook into that not too far away, but we're a target. That's the way it is. I'm not willing to accept it. I mean, simple philosophy in life is tell the truth, look up your family, love God if you want to. I do. Telling the truth is just so important, and telling the truth gets back to treating everybody fairly and equally. Telling the truth means you lead the way, because not too many people are telling the truth. The government's not telling the truth. Media never tell the truth. I mean, it's just, we are fair game, and we either push back or we capitulate and sit under a mushroom and wait to die. I don't like that second option too much at all. Let's just keep telling the truth. Might like it, but it's pretty important.
It's interesting how you look around, because it's one thing for us to sit here in beautiful Australia and go, oh, you know, maybe it's just here, but it's not. This is worldwide now. It seems to be whatever country or culture you go into. Well, to a degree. I mean, there are some. I actually saw some stuff recently of like the not Amazonians, but there are some like unreached people groups that are out there in, you know, countries, I guess, similar to Amazon stuff, where they're showing some lifestyle changes that we've made in regards to, I guess you'd call cancer cultures and so on, how we've adapted to just cancelling people left, right, and centre for just stupid whatever. But they've shown video footage, or they've shown new laws or new things that have come in. They've shown it to these people groups that are from whatever, and they're amazed that we've allowed such simple, stupid, like it's such stupidity. But you look at the Western culture and the Western way we live now. You take it back into Steve, you just mentioned before, you're saying a God facet to this. You look at any kind of religion, whether it be Christianity, whether it be Muslims, Islam, doesn't matter what it is. People are prepared to die for what that is that they believe. But yet today, people aren't even prepared to say what they believe in case they lose their job or be looked at differently.
Unless it's climate change.
Unless they're, well, yes. But it's interesting how that the fear that has been instilled now into men especially to be able to even speak anymore. And, you know, go back. I wouldn't even know. I'd say to a tad level to 5, but I wouldn't go back as high as 10. But even the same cancel culture. Like, celebrities now get cancelled, or just your average normal boy gets cancelled. Why have we even got that same cancel culture? It's what there is this, I'm guessing it's obviously the day out there, oh, you know, if they say that group, the days out there are waiting to just go, cancel them. Did you hear that one thing they said about that one thing? Cancel them.
Well, it's all feelings now, isn't it? Like, it's not, you're not physically hurting people. You use the same words, and that's enough to ruin someone's life, apparently.
And you look at it like you were saying before, and we said it many times, you said it before, you take men's traditionally and predominantly their role to be the provider, and provide for their families. And you go back to the COVID jab, you go back to what happened with this. We mentioned the radio host, Marty Shilgold, who just 2 days ago got sacked from Triple M. Saying something, I'm not even going to word it, saying something against women's sports, because when you hear it, he wasn't saying anything against women's sports. He was saying something that he was saying that he didn't like watching it. He said it in a way that people were so upset and offended by. But so here's a guy who can't even speak now without losing his job. So you're threatening men by taking away their right to work and provide because of words that come out of their mouth. Jokingly, and we've got this fearful nation of men now that don't even know what they can and can't say.
Well, so this guy's messed up, right? He's made a mistake. He said something. Everyone jumps on him.
Has he messed up?
I don't think he has. Well, he's messed up by he's allowed the vultures to have a crack, isn't it? So now what happens? You've got the people that go, I need to virtue signal to the people that support me. So you'll have all these media people. The ABC probably will be all over it, flogging the guy, and they'll be buying more likes by flogging this guy. And at the same time, it's a really weird situation.
Well, let's be honest, it all comes down to money, isn't it? So they're sitting there going, okay, this is going to get attention, and and if we don't do anything about this is going to make us lose viewerships. The other media platforms are going to promote the hell out of it because they're like, here's our opportunity to get it on to these guys. So if they don't do anything about it, we're going to actually, you know what I mean? We can just keep harping at that, and it's going to be worse. Yep. There's been examples in situations where the people who do make those decisions on whether they stay or whether they go have actually made the hard choice and go, you know what, we're going to stand by a guy. We're going to look after that guy. You know what I mean? We're going to go, yeah. In the case of whether he wants to admit that he might have made a mistake or not, I think that's up to him to work out whether he feels like what he said was wrong or not. But I think if you've got someone, as people who you work with, have your back and go, like, because there's people who like him, and that's the reason why he's in that situation, because of the jokes that didn't offend, because of him being on that edge and be that sort of thing. But as soon as they're worried about losing money, then all of a sudden heads have to roll. But, you know, that's why Joe Rogan was in such a good situation, wasn't it? Because everyone was going, cancelling. He's, you know, horse tranquilizers and all the stories that they were just blowing the stories over the top. But he actually had that, well, first off, he self-built and made it himself, and he wasn't worried if he kept going himself. But Spotify went, no, we're gonna actually not do anything about it and keep it going.
Because the money was there.
Correct. But realistically, dictating what's allowed to be said and what's not allowed to be said just because of money, just because of rating, or just because you're pleasing the masses, then that's the reason why we're in the situation we're at right now. Because it's easy to manipulate masses just by framing it in a certain situation. And that's why that old story of the pen is mightier than the sword. Because if you can reach more people, be able to create more issues than actually that one person who's fighting, then, you know, you're working on an uphill battle. So
I'm going to jump in at this point because I've actually been through something that was pretty traumatic in my life where I got smashed by the media. And I feel for this guy. I really don't know him from a bar, so I mean, really, in the scheme of things, how bad is he? You know, he's not a drug dealer. He's not out there raping little kids. I don't think he robbed anywhere. Did he kill anybody driving a car on cocaine? I don't think he did that either. So, you know, he's said something on radio that's upset some females in the Greater Australia, the sports industry. And I think they really need to think about it. You know, when I reflect upon what this guy's going through now at the moment, but he could be thinking about taking his own life. He's lost his job. He's being vilified right across our country, if not throughout the whole bloody world. And the media have all piled on. You know, he's roadkill. You know, the trucks kept on going, and then I'm coming back, mate. He's dead on the road. So it's going to be very difficult for him to get a job because I've experienced that myself. It's really, really difficult to cope with because you're being vilified by whole country. How does he push back? How does he get his light back? So that's just one bloke. And think about it. If they'll do it to him, they're going to do it to all of us at some stage because we say something stupid. You know, one mistake. I mean, if you're a footy player and you take cocaine and hurt a kid without a license in a car and do something like that, you get an $800 fine and you're back on the field at some stage. If you're a footy star in a certain part of the world and you're skew in the back of the taxi, kick the back window out, go and call coppers white tricks and shit like that, that's okay. Go before a court of law and you're let off the hook. But this poor bastard, think about it. Let's be fair. Let's do a fair playing field. It's a bit like when people talk about women's and men's wages in sport. It might be a little bit complicated, but men have been getting paid at a reasonably high rate for a very long time. Women's sport has started to kick off over the last 10 years. It's been that, but now it's been commercialised, and eventually they're probably going to catch up and they'll be on an evil pay scale. But it's all a timing thing. At the moment, this bloke, I believe, I think he's copped it way too hard. I think the station probably shouldn't fight it. They have probably for commercial reasons. I think it's wrong. Just my humble opinion, as a bloke who's been around a little bit, that's just not cricket.
So you take a bloke like this one, this situation, we'll move on from it soon. We'll just stay for the next couple of minutes. You take Marty Sheargold and his circumstance right now. He said some things that, it wasn't a mistake. He was put in a position to, I'm not going to say he's put in a position to have to apologise, but he did apologise. And that in itself made me go, well, I don't actually know what your apology was for, mate. Whether you try to beef your job back, whatever it is, I'm not too sure. I don't think you should apologise. But what he did do was he said, he's a comedian, right? So he says comedic things. He says things that are designed to make us laugh. And you listen to the actual footage. The whole station was laughing. They were there with you because what he said was funny. It was comical, right? But now because of the repercussions, you've got one man just saying something and he's cut down. What does this do now to other men in either similar, like positions or similar positions to him that now go, oh, sure, they didn't up and say anything now. Like, what can we say? What can't we say? What does this do to other men that now have just sat and watched this play out?
Well, that's how we are where we are, isn't it? Because you see it. You see it happening. And you're like, I better keep my mouth shut because, things are going to happen.
But what they're doing is nothing new. Like them in the wars of the past, hundreds of years ago, what would you do? You get the enemies and you stick their heads on pike as a warning to the next lot coming. What are they doing? They're just waving him around like the dead body, go, cross us, and you'll be next.
It's ironic. Steph said to me the other day, she goes, you're going to have to start to be really careful about what you're posting on Facebook and what you're saying on Facebook, because the federal government have passed new legislation recently about what they call hate speech or vilifying people. And it's a political tool that they're using to shut people up. And it's just put what we've been talking about on steroids, because there's jail times tied to this stuff. I mean, I said to Deb, I said, listen, I'm really looking forward to the free accommodation and you're going to get a bit of a break for a while. I'm going to become a legal prisoner. So, didn't do Nelson Mandela too much hard, they become president. That's a good point. So, I'll say to all the blokes out there, don't bend over. Don't be coerced by these bastards. Stand up to your rights. Tell the truth. Just be what a bloke's meant to be. Provided for the family. A bloke who cares about and loves women. Let's not forget that. He loves the women in his family just like he loves his sons. So, none of us hate women. We just hate the stupid laws that are coming into place these days that vilify men. We don't like it. Or I don't like it.
I couldn't have said it better. You know what, looking at, you're just touching again, we can say about Nelson Mandela, that's exactly right. Just those men I mentioned at the start, these were men that went, okay, the surroundings might be not in favour of what I'm about to do or what I'm about to say, but I have to stand firm to it. I have to do it. And when they did, we're talking about them all these years up. These were men that changed history, made history, were men that decided that I'm going to go into a room and I'm going to set what it is. I'm going to, like the thermostats and thermometers. These thermostat men have gone into situations and gone, yeah, that might be what but this is what I want to do. This is what I believe. This is how I'm going to act. And they're the men we're still talking about today. But I think you look at the situation with Moshi, I'll move on for it, but I think you're going to see a ripple effect now of men going, oh, Grace, what can we say? What can't we say? All because, I'm not saying we should elevate people like Marty, but what he did, take away what was said, but what he did, I think we do need to applaud that kind of thing. Mate, you said something that you believe in. We all thought it. And we all believed it. Let's just be honest, we did. I certainly do. I'm not backing down from it. There are a lot of things about women's sports that I find not entertaining. Do I have to like it? Well, apparently so. Apparently, if I'm supposed to. Well, I don't. I don't. But it's the truth, though, isn't it?
I'd just be down for it, but I'm just holding back the jokes. I don't want to be next to Marty.
Look, I could do. Wait. That's the kind of deal. Look, you look at men as thermostats or thermometers, men that are setting the tone, setting the atmosphere themselves, or going with the flow. Symbolically, is being a thermometer someone who's reactive to the situation? is that a sign of a weak man?
I'll look at it in two ways, right? So if it's not something, if it's not your strong point, or hey, look, sometimes you've got to pick your battles. So if it's not something that you really care about, you know, you can go along with the flow. But I think backing up other men is something that you got to be a thermometer about, because sometimes you do need someone to go, oh, that wasn't that bad, or do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that we go back to the dark ages, you know, like I think that women deserve to have their rights and have to do all that sort of stuff, and they should be treated, if anything, they should be treated like the queens that they are. You know, if you love your wife, you want to treat her like a queen, you know, and you'd love to be treated like a king. Like, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But like, everything is built over a period of time. But if it is something like, you know, who's going to be doing the dishes tonight, well then, if it's not something that really matters, then I would be a thermometer on that thing. But if it's something that I believe in, then it's my job to be the thermostat and actually go, no, this is the temperature we should be operating at, not this one.
Absolutely. Well, we are built to be peacekeepers as well, aren't we? So just before we hit record, you said it, that occasionally we'll just we'll take one on the chin when you're having an argument with the wife or something. You'll just go, yeah, sure, yeah, my bad, not to worry, let's move on. Sometimes maybe that's just an error of judgment. Hey, when you're in the big situation like with Marty here, maybe you just went, oh look, I'll just say sorry. Oh, you know, my wife will calm down, and it will go on. The error was it wasn't his wife; it's Karen.
It's look, we talk relationships, Jamie, just on what you're saying, then. I absolutely agree. Because obviously, we've all been there, every single one, and probably Steve more so than all of you. You've been married a lot longer than all of us, but to the same woman, which in itself, I don't know, yeah.
So you blame yourself. You didn't think you'd swap it out.
39 years, mate. I would love that. 3 lots of 13 years. That's just remember. Murder.
But you would have been there more times than we have, where you're in a situation where there's an argument or there's a disagreement or there's something going on just within the marriage. And quite often, as men, you're tempted to just fall back, like Michael and I was saying before. Like, I've been in a situation many times where you know deep down, and it's not about right or wrong, but you know deep down that, hey, I know I'm right in this situation. But to keep the peace, a lot of the time you go, you know what, to bring peace back into this, I'll take it on the chin. Not so much we blame ourselves. Well, I was joking you with it before when I was saying that sometimes you cop the rap when you know it's hagging you anyway, just to bring peace. But I think looking from the outside looking in, that is a man being a thermostat, because that's him taking control of the situation, going, you know what, to bring peace right here, I could say a lot back. And if I say a lot back, then you're going to say a lot back, and then you're going to say. So a real man who is a thermostat in that situation, I think sometimes not to take the blame, but goes, you know what, to bring peace, I'm going to step in and go, you know what, I'll man up. I'll say, you know what, I'm sorry, let's move on, done. That's a leader.
Wayne, I'm jobbing across this because I have been married quite some time, and it all gets down to this is a two-way partnership, marriage. Marriage is between a man and a woman. Just, I'm going to chuck that out. That is, I'm married to a woman. I'm the bloke. This is...
There you go, I just lost half the...
So it's
really sweetly. It's about negotiation. That's life. You know, no, nothing's perfect in the world. You know, when you're born into this world, mate, you're lucky that you're alive and you take your first gutful of oxygen into your lung. That means you're living, and you cried because some bloke smacked you on the arse as soon as you built it, just to make sure you get all that gunk out of your lungs and hangs upside down. Welcome to the world. Welcome to life. It's not simple. You know, life can be very, very complicated, but I'll advise anybody out there, any bloke out there, you know, just be straightforward. You know, you've got to tell the truth to your partner in life, because when you start lying, it never stops. And what we're all talking about is just a form of, you know, we'll just soften the blow, we'll make it a little bit easier. If you're married to a woman that loves you, you'll tell her the truth all the time, and she'll understand, but she'll tell you the truth all the time too. And that's how you get to trust each other. So many couples these days, it's my money and it's your money and it's your assets and it's my assets. I mean, Deb and I have never ever done that. I trust my wife. I put everything in her name 20 years ago. So our house is in her name. I trust her. And I think it's all about trust. It's about living life and loving. And I think today, people they get too much body time in their hands to mess around with all the stupidity, to be honest. I don't call it stupidity. And I just really detest society today, particularly the media. I get to get this all the time. I'd love to come and interview Sam when he comes along. That'll be an interesting interview. But, mate, the truth of the matter is that we just be honest, we be open, we treat women with respect, and that's to the women who want to be treated with respect. A lot of women out there today, I'll tell you, piss off, we don't want to know you. Obviously, girls like girls, and that's okay. They can do their thing. I don't care. But I just think we've gone off the rails. We've lost the plot of what humanity's about. We should be working unitedly as teams together, as a husband and wife, as couples, and just do the right thing. And, there are going to be stupid things said in the media, and they're going to be people who get bored to their knees, and they're going to be people's lives destroyed. But why? Ask yourselves why. We let it happen. And if you sit back and say nothing, and this gets to the point of the thermostat and the thermometer, I want to be the thermostat. I'm happy to be the thermostat. There's rules and regulations we all live within. To just be honest, be open, be truthful, and whatever you say, start with love. You don't criticize anybody with hatred. You criticize them with love so they do things a bit better next time. What you would say to your children. Don't play with matches under the timber floor of the house because you could burn it to the ground. Just little things like that. And you're probably smacking the ball and they don't ever do it again. There are things we've got to learn as lessons in life, and every day we'll learn. Martin, he probably learned a lesson, but I think he's been flogged by mainstream media. I think he's been flogged by his employees, and I don't think he deserves where he stopped.
Seeking thermostats and thermometers. Do you think men are thermometers by default? I think what's happened is that women needed to have more rights and probably be more respected, and needed that to be larger parts of the society. And, it comes to that awareness that, the first part of improvement is self-awareness, where you go, do you know what, maybe we're not doing the right thing by women by not letting them vote, for example. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we're not doing the right thing.
And then Labour got in for 10 years.
Yeah, but sorry. Can you say sorry? Yeah. Say sorry. No. But on a serious note, until you go.
Yeah.
By thinking it was okay to beat up a woman and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
That's not okay.
Because that was never okay. It was never okay to hit a woman.
Crap, but things had to.
Hey, that sharp chauvinist is sitting over here. We both reckon it's not okay to hit women. And you blokes think the same, I'm sure.
100%. But that's what I'm saying is that, so things weren't okay. So what happened is that the thermometer, not only of men, but also women too, where, all right, we need to do something about this. Let's change these things. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's where, what's the word I'm looking for? Feminism came from, and you know what I mean? Like
Communism.
So it wasn't, but right at the start, it wasn't a bad thing, was it? It was about okay, let's give them more rights. Let's actually make it more active, etc., etc. I think what's happened though is that the thermometer got cracked, and it went way too far the other way
To the left.
Like Beyonce to the way. It went way too far. You know what I mean? And unless we correct it and we try to find it back to the right temperature, then people are going to get thrown over the coals for just wanting to be, to provide it, just wanting to be the protector of the family, just wanting to be the leader of their family, and you think about today, like you talk to women, you hear the complaint that, men aren't men anymore. They don't, they don't lead. I don't want to actually be asked where I want to go. I want someone to actually pick me up and say, pick me up at this time, take me to this place, and et cetera, et cetera. But it's because society has gone so far the other way that guys are actually worried, and some of them being trained not to do that, And this is why I think, men actually having truthful conversations and go, this is what I think is right, actually will stop that. Because if you've got someone also that goes, you know what, that's a good point, I think you're right. And I tell you what, no, you're absolutely wrong because of this. But unless you say it the way it is, you don't open up that ability to be taught about how, like, another point of view. Does that make sense? So I think we've got to start as we said, it's a war of masculinity. We've got to start bringing it back to masculine things is a good thing. Yeah.
So are we to blame? Are we to blame for this? Because if you look at it historically, you would argue that men had all the power. And they did. And now that's all about. And I would say yes and no, because I think women are incredibly intelligent, and I think they can control men like that. We are a symbol, right?
Well, what's that? What's the story? Men are the head, but women are the necks.
Yep, and they turn the head any way they want.
Yep,
that's right. But it's true. If you're sitting on the couch after a hard day and your wife goes, "Take the bins out," you're like, "Do later on." If she went, "Take the bins out," you'd be like, "The bins are already out," which she knows, right? It's a crude way of saying it, but it's true. Like, they know how to control you. They are very intelligent.
I think you've got to look at history. I mean, you brought up the vote for women. It's not really in the scheme of things all that long ago in the history of the world that women got the right to vote. I mean, men have dominated women throughout history. That's the truth. Don't look at me like I'm a feminist, because I'm not. I'm just a realist. There's a difference. There's a hell of a difference. Churches have run the world. The Romans have run the world. The British have run the world. Everybody's had a crack at running the world, and we've all want to be dominating. But today we live in a world, I believe, that people probably are much more tolerant today. But I think, Jamie, as you put it really, really clearly, it's just gone way too far to the left, and we've got to bring it back, that pendulum, to the middle, so that, women are treated with respect. Absolutely. They should have been voted a long time ago. They are now. They can smoke in the streets and they can wear men's suits. They can do whatever they liked. I mean, I think it's gone way too far now that women don't know, or men sometimes don't know what they are. They think they're women and women think they're blokes. I mean, that's just batshit mad in my thinking, but I'm a bit old-fashioned, and that'll cause a bit of controversy, just that statement of itself, that just dealing straight out with men and women as the world was made. I think women are in a much better place today, and I think a lot of women are actually really pissed off that they've lost the opportunity where a bloke will open a door from, where they'll treat them like ladies, where they'll treat them with respect, where they'll pay for them to go out for dinner, instead of coming back going, "Hey, well, feminist rights, you're up for 50%, lady. Actually, you should pay it all. You're in charge." That's probably where that pendulum is today. So, we got a lot of work to do, and we've got to start to protect the young men and start to teach them that, you can stand up for yourself, you can tell the truth, and do it through negotiation. And that little topic we touched on, it slipped through very quickly, about men assaulting women, should never happen. There's a lot of women out there that assault men today. You never hear about it because blokes are too bloody scared to stand up and go, "My wife's beat me." It's real. It happens in the world today. So, there are two sides for that coin. Men are physically stronger than women, as we know. That bloke that dressed up as women who won a gold medal in the Olympics is pretty strong. Sorry, that was sick.
No.
Well, going back to the question you asked, Mikey, on where did this all start? And Jamie, you were saying it. When you look at what it is, when did it all start? The it. I'm not going to say the it was empowering women, because I have nothing against empowering women. Like I said to you guys before, my wife in my eyes is an absolute champion for what she does with our business and our family. Like, I love the fact that women are empowered. And again, I've said before, but the problem is we've done it at the expense of disempowering men. So where did it all begin? It did go back, the whole feminist movement was introduced. But the fact that it was introduced, it's that thing that exists now. It's like it can't be stopped, because to stop it requires someone to speak up. And the moment you speak up, you actually are you're the bad guy in that situation. So no one speaks up. So where does it stop? We know where it started.
Where does it stop?
It's a bit of a power vacuum, isn't it? Like, we've come up with the statement, women and men are equal, and they are. We both deserve equal respect. We should both have the opportunity of the same quality of life, and there's so many other things within it. But now we're fighting for these little territories of, well, I want the same outcome as you, without necessarily having the same input. We ignore the input and we just focus on the result. And we go, well, it's not fair. I should earn the same as the male footballer. You go, okay, he within the team creates $1 billion of revenue a year and gets 1% of that, which is however many million. You create a few $100,000. You right now in the sport, you create a debt. Do you want equal percentages, or do you want equal dollar figure? Because it doesn't work like that. It would be like, when you're in sales. Well, hang on, old mate went out and did 20 sales today. I want his income. It's equal. Equality is wanting what the other guy has, which is better. You don't jump. But we went to Vanuatu, and there's kids sitting on the floor in the streets with a ripped pair of shorts and nothing else. And I look at my kids and go, do you want equality? Which way does the equality go? Do you get what they get, or do they get what you get? And that's all we're doing now. It's just on a bigger scale.
Well, let's have a look at it as well. It doesn't work like that in business. It doesn't at all. Women, successful business women are successful because of the value that they create. That's your way. What?
I mean, there's another way. Call everybody bricklayers, and you get paid for the amount of bricks that you lay a day. I mean, you lay 100 bricks a day, so you get paid $100. You lay 1,000 bricks a day, you get paid $1,000. Doesn't matter if you're a male or a female. Bricks are pretty heavy.
I think they're up about 10 bucks per
hard work out the sun. The point I'm trying to make is if you do the same work and you're getting the same result, obviously probably going to get the same pay. And as you explained it, female sport and male sport, they're totally different. One is a fledgling sport because female sport has not really been commercialised. I was part of it when I was Minister for Sport in Brisbane. We set up a Women in Sport program with very, very professional people on that committee so that we could actually put the basis and the foundations so that women in sport could start to grow. And this is when AFL Women in Sport just started. Rugby League followed very closely behind it. The difference between now and that was probably 2013, 14. It has come so far in that 10 years that they are professionals now. They are getting paid money. It's not what the blokes get paid, but it's going to steadily get bigger and bigger and bigger. And when their audience base grows, as you so rightfully put it, they'll probably have the same sort of money. But that's not today. Yeah, you've got to aspire to something. And that's what these leaders in the sporting fields are doing, the women in sport. And, they shouldn't be out there spewing taxes and kicking the back windows out. They should be out there showing the world how good they are on the field. Not thinking they're prima donnas, because a lot of them do.
I guess one question I offer to you guys with a friend, because you mentioned before about the change with feminism and all the rest of it. Do you think that happened because men went to the stage and went, you know what, you're right, and that is wrong, and we're going to stand up with you and help you get those things that you want? Like, it had to be that way, didn't it? Because they wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of the majority, right? Yeah. Is the question then, if it has gone too far the other way, should it be women who stand up and go, do you know what, I want to see more masculine men, and I want to support more masculine men?
I answer that in a very interesting way because of how society is now in this social media. Right? We know that how prevalent and in-your-face social media is now. It runs everything we do. With, you can't even have me being a plumber. I can't even have a plumbing business now without putting 2 to 3 posts up a day that show me doing something plumbing. So social media just runs the world. Being in this space with what we do with Average Joes and with this podcast, I follow a lot of people in this space now, not the space of mental health, because that's not what we're at, but in the space of men reclaiming and standing out to be masculine men and finding their place, finding their identity into the arms of men, and having that flourish in their business, in their marriage, and in their parenting.
So I follow so many people on social media where I see that they are recognizing now that masculinity as a trait within men, or masculinity as a whole, is missing. And it's funny you've said that, because the people that are starting to speak up for more now are women, which absolutely proves that women are desperate for men to be masculine. So who is the who? The war on masculinity, is it coming from women? When deep down women are wanting us to be masculine. Who's it coming from then? Well, where's it coming from? Is it a political agenda? Absolutely, it's a political agenda. But call it what it is. I mean, as I said to you earlier, federal government, they've changed legislation in this country about freedom of speech. You know, that's going the wrong way. I mean, people should be able to talk freely, openly, and honestly, and you should never, ever be jailed for doing that. You should never lose your job for doing that. I mean, you know, I've been a boss of some pretty big organizations, and all I ever asked of my staff is to tell me the truth. If you stuff up, let me know, because if you know early, you can fix things. If they sit on an issue that they've stuffed up and, you know, you lose customers through it, or, you know, your business starts to go down the tube because you never knew that something went wrong way back here. That's the problem. And that's where we are in this situation today. This started back in the 90s. You know, and I think it all got down to, you know, women get given all these powers, and I think they took it a whole lot more seriously than a whole lot of people did. And it just went too far. And I think now women are clawing back, because they do, Jamie, as you said, you know, they want to be loved. They want to be treated like women. You know, women want to be treated like blokes, because they're not. Yeah. You know, they're women. They're special. They're unique. They're so unique, and they're the mother, as I said, of every person that's ever been born on the planet. So, you know, they have their place, as we have our place. And I think what you guys are talking about, I think you've nailed it. We basically got to call on all the women out there to really, you know, bring masculinity back. You know, tell your sons that, you know, they can't say things. They can be strong. They can be champions. They can look after the girls. That's a really good thing, as far as my opinion is concerned. So I'd love to know what you like think about. I should maybe try to argue with that. Because even just thinking now on with the social media, these people that I follow, and like I said, predominantly, the high percentage of them are women in this space, and the content they provide is phenomenal on men embracing masculinity. And what's interesting about them is that when you scroll and you go, oh, actually, I'll follow that lady and I'll follow that lady, and you start watching you start watching the content. The first thing that comes to mind, and it's just a natural thing that comes to all men, is you go, oh, wow, she's attractive. Then you hear her speak and you go, oh, wow, she's smart. Then she provides content, you go, wow, she's attractive, she's smart, she's sophisticated. And her name's Candace Owen. What? What guy just I think it's where going. Let's think. But here's the thing. She's attractive, smart, sophisticated. She talks about family values, and you listen to her and you go, so hang on a minute. If the smart, attractive, sophisticated, family-valued women are wanting men to embrace masculinity, what are the ones that are wanting men to not? Because if the smart, attractive, and sophisticated and family-valued ones are, it just goes to prove the ones that are not.
Are you saying it's ugly weird?
No,
I didn't say it, but he's just trying to break it down.
If they're out there and they're like 400 kilos with blue hair and 9 ponytails and they've got stupid colour flags over them, they generally are the ones.
Greta Thunberg's face stretched like that.
But it's true. Who are the ones that are out there protesting, waving dumbass flags, holding up stupid, ridiculous signs on that are against and create
Democrat voters.
Do I get a point? Yeah, 3. But they're the ones. But when you scroll through and you see, oh, wow, she's very attractive, she's very sophisticated, she's smart, and they're all for it. Why are they for it? It's simple, because when they're operating in their feminine and we're operating in our masculine, we're attractive to them and they're attractive to us. So when the crowd rises up and they're against masculinity, look at the crowd. They're not smart, attractive, sophisticated women.
Wow, that can just be taken.
Well, I might think of that. We gotta look up. That's a big generalization. Who's gonna cancel it? Like this thing. No, just say don't be like. Just stop. Wait, sorry. But But the point is, though, is that that's why the masses aren't always correct. Do you know what I mean? This is why we go to university and we get trained by a professor to help train the next generation of people. Because there is things that work and there's things that make sense. And if everyone just goes along with the status quo, then what happens is that they think that they're experts, but they're just listening to what other people that are in the same situation than them are saying, not people that are in a better situation than them, not people who want a better future, not people, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, sometimes that better future doesn't happen until other alternatives have been taken away, So it's only when some people hit rock bottom, and it's the same with guys and progression and all the rest of it. Sometimes they don't change until they hit rock bottom, and it's not what we want, where we want society to hit rock bottom or masculinity to hit rock bottom. And it's like, but unfortunately, that takes people, and this is the reason why things like this are so important, to actually have conversations so you can open up a different perspective. Now, not everything that the guys say here, I agree with 100%. One of our best mates, Greg, who used to sit on this panel right over there, I used to agree but disagree with probably 60, 70% of the stuff he said.
Only that much.
But you're still my mate.
You're absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that is part like this, and what we're talking about is part of the problem, where someone's not allowed to say something that you disagree with because you disagree with one thing, you hate that person wholeheartedly.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It is ridiculous. Should disagree with me. It is ridiculous. That doesn't mean the person that he is. That doesn't mean the values that they have. It doesn't mean how well he looks after his family. It doesn't mean how much he sacrificed to get to where he is. Like, no one knows their story, But someone has said one thing. Oh, I disagree with that. I hate that person.
Yeah, that's right. One moment in history, and it was actually a goal. That's what's happened to him. But just something I wanted to touch on with Jamie that you talk about. I mean, we're looking for the cause of the problem. I mean, you think about today, marriages. If you're lucky enough to be married to somebody like I have been for 39 years, we're very, very fortunate. That's not normal these days. There's a lot of split marriages. There's a lot of single parent families. And I mean, think about the single mother who's bringing up 1, 2, 3 children. They could all be boys. Where's the masculinity coming from to teach those children about what the man's role is in the family? Where is that spot on? So that's just one family with 3 boys that have been brought up by a single mum, and nothing against single mums. You're doing the best you can. Single dads doing the best they can. Same scenario. They don't have a mum if it's a dad bringing up 3 boys or 3 girls by himself. So I reckon that's a bigger part of the problem today, where the family unit, it's not actually bred into the children to take responsibility as being a man that looks after women, to cherishes women. It's mum's gone or dad's gone. We don't have one of them, so we don't get that influence. And I think that's probably a bigger problem that we're facing in our society today. And that's been pretty well happening since the 80s, 90s. It's just been ongoing. And now we're seeing the result of that. You get all these young blokes that are growing up that have never had a dad. You got a lot of probably girls that have grown up without a mum. You don't know. It's pretty bloody scary when you throw that into the mix. And then you got all the mental health issues that get mixed in with that, because they're just not sure who the hell they are.
Steve, I could not have said that any better. When you look at mental health, I don't know. I've not seen a graph, a chart, whatever you want to call it, statistics. I have no idea. But I bet my life on it. I absolutely bet my life on it. If you go back and you look at a graph of when mental health cases in men have increased, I guarantee it lines up to when all these movements began, and when you start to suppress the identity of men and start removing them and making them feel guilty that they must. I guarantee you it lines up, because you're stripping men away from the traits of who are they are designed to be. It's their core, 100%. And we wonder why. So you look at these mental health movements, and I've said it to guys before, and it's probably going to sound repetitive, but you have all these mental health movements trying to solve the problem at the end of that line. Little safety nets and nurture these men. No, you go back, and I guarantee you'll find that when we started to increase all these movements on empowering women, listen, not against empowering women, like I said, but the disempowering of men. You go back and you look at when the disempowering of men began, I guarantee you it lines up and the increase of men's mental health issues. I guarantee you. I bet my life on it. I bet it lines up. Because you look at all the mental health issues that men are facing today, which lead them down to suicide. 80% of them are relationship focused. What happened in the last 30, 40 years? You even just, I've got a mate going through it at the moment, and Mike knows all about it. I've got a good mate going through it right at the moment where he's being accused, he's gone through a breakup, and it's all focused around domestic violence. And the evidence supported in court was him boxing with his 4-year-old kid on a set-up video from 4 years ago that his wife set up secretly. Him boxing with his son, like legitimate play fighting boxing. And that video was submitted to court that he was a violent dad. Now, she had it for 4 years. And now you've got this guy who is, Mike, I don't know, you would know more later, but how many times have I been on the phone to this guy? Hours upon hours of him broken down in absolute tears. And more than 10 times he said to me, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. You've got a guy with a successful business, right? Now contemplating ending his own life because of a relationship breakdown where he's been accused of domestic violence, which he wasn't. So you see now that we have created a system that allows, he did this, and he has stripped up everything about who he is as a man, and it drives up the mental health. I guarantee you go through mental health cases with men, and it goes back to when the whole system itself changed, not to benefit women. Don't get me wrong. You accuse me of manipulate what I'm trying to say. I care. It's not that. It's the fact the system itself changed, and we have stripped men from it. We're forcing men to be thermometers now and just go with the flow. Bend over, take it. It's your turn. Go with it.
Well, let's take into account what the thermostat is, right? It's changing things. And who changes things? It's leaders, right? So,
Well, thermostats are the ones that change things.
yeah, exactly. So the leaders, so what'll happen is that, all right, you're not going with the flow. It recognizes it's not going the right direction, and it changes it. Does that make sense? Isn't that what a leader does? Like, if you're the captain of a football team,
Jamie, who are those people? Can you point out any of those leaders that are going to change things from where they're going to promote, where domestic violence is the biggest issue that police deal with today?
I'm not talking about domestic violence.
I just use that as an example, but I'm just saying what you're saying is correct. All I'm looking for is who are these people?
Well, that is part of masculinity. It's part of the three cores, which is you're a provider, you're a protector, and you're the leader of your family. Do you know what I mean? And I think that is part of the problem where men had that issue where they should be leaders and they haven't been taught how to do it, or they haven't had the belief to be able to do it, or they haven't had the support network that show them, hey, as a male, as a dad, as a leader of your family, these are things that, you have to recognize when things are going wrong and you have to change things.
And I hate butting in there, but I get exactly what you're saying. You're identifying the person, the principle of what we want to see. I'm talking about the reality of the legislators, and that's where we really need it. We need these thermostats in government because the legislations that they're putting in place, they're promoting the domestic violence stuff, mate. Because I can tell you now this is statistical information. The biggest job call out for every copper in Queensland is domestic violence. Everybody hits that trigger because it's an easy one. But women are going to win every single time. Even if there's, as you pointed out, there may be no domestic violence, but if you throw a saucer on the ground in your kitchen and the coppers come along and she says, hit through that source, that's domestic violence. You mightn't think it is. That is considered to be domestic violence because you've made a threat and you've actually broken something. So that's physical and it's a threat. Sounds batshit mad, but that's the world we're living in. So what the point I was trying to make is how do we identify the thermostats in government that can change the legislation? So maybe when you throw a saucer gets thrown on the ground by somebody, it's not domestic violence at all. It's somebody threw a saucer on the ground because they're trying to set this bloke up. Or in that case, the video about boxing on with your young kid. I've done it with my nephew. I got videos on my phone of me boxing with a bloody 9-year-old nephew that I took out west the other day. He's 15. I don't think it's ever going to be thrown at me as domestic violence, but what you're saying it could be.
All right. I'll answer the question. Thank you. With an analogy, right? So let's say we've got a great sporting team, right? Yeah. What we think is great. And then we go versus someone else. And they do absolute dog shit. Like they play absolute dog shit because we don't have good enough players to go up against that particular team. Now, is the solution telling those players to play better when they're already playing at the peak of their capability? Or is the better solution to actually go back into the grassroots and actually start to fix the problem at the core and start to teach the fundamentals and start to actually train, coach, support, develop? So, like New Zealand, let's use the All Blacks as an example, right? They have, and I'm not a Kiwi, but I'm going to give respect where respect is due, right? They have, 3 million, 4 million people as a population, right? Best rugby team
In the world, by far. Absolutely.
by far. Yep. And for years.
Is this the women's team you're talking about? Sorry.
Well, actually, the women's team is one of the best rugby.
And later that, so you give credit where credit's due.
Absolutely. But I'll loop it into that later, right? But the way that they did that, though, was that from the very start, they built the foundations. They had the passion, the love for the game. They set standards for their players. They didn't waver on those standards. They taught principles like sweeping the sheds and treating people with respect and leaving the jersey in a better situation than what you found, than what you walked into it with. They set these things that set it up. So right now in politics, absolutely not. There's no one who has enough balls to stand up. There's no one that has enough balls to stand up and do it because it's a popularity thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that's a different situation. And I can't change that right now. Does that make sense? But this is why I do what I do here and what I think you guys do what you do here is because we can reach the average man out there to be a better dad. Absolutely. To be a better leader, to look after his family, to stand up for what he believes in, to do those types of things, which helps the grassroots move into better and better situations. Now, to bring that into female sport, right? Yeah. What will happen there is that we have invested into female sport. Yeah. And now if you watch a female game versus a male's game, in my opinion, the male game is going to be more entertaining. Yeah. UFC has done so well on building the female side of the sports. You know what I mean? Because I now watch a female fight and it's just as entertaining as the males. Or sometimes they're more entertaining because you know why? They got more go. You know. But I don't think that that's a situation where it's never going to be the same. Maybe we're just at a different situation, at a different timeline on where they're at in their game. Because if I look at rugby league or if I look at, you know, where it was in the 60s compared to where it is today, like today is a much tougher, faster, you know, more skillful game.
No, I don't know about that.
I know about it.
Like, they're much pussies. They don't even have scrums next to it.
Yeah.
They should just hand the ball over.
Yeah.
We'll have a scrum.
It'll show.
And they used to only be able to go back.
But they get you. See, you forgot for like Clyde Churchill, mate. Some of the best all players in our country ever. I mean, tough, man. I haven't, and I did that got to your book, but
You hit the nail on the head. Tough, right?
Yep.
But not as fast, not as strong, not as skillful. Yeah, not as fit.
So you say Wally Lewis wouldn't fit in the cup today? Because he used to smoke at half time. I don't know the guy.
Yeah.
But they were just pretty, skilled like you wouldn't believe. He
Well,
really good.
you can I love Wally Lewis, right? And I think he is the king. Or where was it?
This is where we actually could lose support.
This is on holiday. Well, where he was at that time. But I would say though, I don't think you have as big as an impact as what you had back then in today's game.
Yeah, very cool. You disagree, Sleep? I do 100%. I disagree, but that's a whole different topic, With thermostats, mate, I'm going back to the thermostats. Jamie, I reckon you should run to politics because you articulate a conversation really well. You explain things extremely well. Not sucking up, you're just telling you the truth. So we need people like you involved in politics. So, mate, maybe it's time.
Mate, I tell you what, I could burn something to do it.
You won't do it, Jamie. No, you won't. So you go, see?
Hey, Jamie, 28 Pats.
I must have value.
It's not that great.
We properly though, like we get the quip on the hair and do it right.
Mate, I had it last week. Didn't you see it? Like, you tub in that flat out. It was kind of a bit
Right, bit of illness.
Mate, I can't make mangrove rib, but every part of me believes that men are great.
100%. Men, women, children, our country, mate, we live in the best place in the world, but it's turned to custard. The stuff we've discussed today, it's really, really important because I think, that just summarizing my opinion of our conversation today, it gets back to the kids. The kids have got to get the right opportunities growing up because if that's where you change everything, and I think you touched on that, Jamie, you're going to change the world, you're going to make it a better place. But kids aren't being taught that today, I'm sorry to say. They're given the opportunities, they want puberty blockers, or the blokes want to wear dresses and girls want to wear suits. Sorry, that gets to the education, those universities, and I was nearly going to jump on that before too, mate. Universities are brilliant for what they're designed to be. It's like information and technology. It's really, really good if you take the porn and the drug dealing and all that out of it. And universities, if you take out the indoctrination and you take out the lefty philosophies and you just educated people and you gave them unbiased information and you let them have fair input from both sexes, that would be great. Utopia world. That's what I aim for and that's what I hope for. But where we are at the moment, and it all gets back to politics, I'm sorry to say, everything all goes round the funnels and the down pipes and the drains, all comes back to politics. The legislators who make poor legislation to bias one side against the other, to let people get gaslighted and their lives ripped apart like old Marty, mate, we've got to do better than that. I think if we can start it with our children, and I'd advise any bloke out there, bring up your kids well, but treat them fairly, tell them to respect women, pretty simple sort of stuff, it's gone off to the left field and it's burning the house to the ground.
Yep. Yeah, look, we're trying to find a solution for a problem that took, 30, 40 years to be where we are now. So we're never going to have the answer today. We won't fix it tomorrow. Next year, we're not going to end up in the perfect world. But, when you look at how we grew up, it takes a village to raise a child. And you look at how we just spoke about how young boys aren't taught how to be men. If you go back 2 generations, 3 generations, if you look at our grandparents, and if there was a kid on the street that lost his dad, or there wasn't a man in the house, it was just a duty that you would go around there and support them. If you saw domestic violence, if you saw a man hit his wife, all the men in the street would step in, and he would get a hiding. It was nipped in the bud.
Or the brothers would come over.
100%. In anyone touched my sisters, mate, I'll jump on a plate. Not a worry at all. I think I actually told one of them that. But it's now we just rely on the government. It's the government's fault for everything because they've taught us to rely on them. So it starts by us seeing that boy there that doesn't have a mentor and trying to be that mentor. Standing up the next time you see something that is wrong, stand up for it. Stand your ground.
Yeah.
Do it politely, be respectful, but stand your ground.
I totally agree. Totally agree with what you said, buddy. I think you look at all those things on where we're saying, men need to stand up for, all these things and be these thermostats, like what we're mentioning. When you look at it politically, and we've mentioned the political standpoint so many times today, but you look at the difference between what a thermostat does and what a thermometer does. A thermostat sets the temperature. A thermometer goes with it and tells you what the temperature is, right? It's as if the system has created an absolute, like we're relying on the government, or we're putting the emphasis back on the government. Oh, why doesn't the government do this? What doesn't do? No one's standing up and being a thermostat anymore. It's as if maybe we need to, and we're talking about Australians just because it's obviously where we are. Maybe we need to genuinely come out and say that it's as if the system has become so communist that we are a nation of thermostats, a nation of thermometers, just waiting to be controlled and told what to do like robots. What do we do? Where do we do this? Go to work, come home. Can we do this? Can we do that? And that's how it's becoming. We can't even talk anymore. New laws have come in saying you can't. Like we've mentioned all these things. We have become a nation where you stand back, you look at the men, and you go, we are just a bunch of thermometers waiting to be told what to do. Bunch of minions. Clock on, clock off. Can I eat? Can I drink? Can I fart? Can I sleep? That's how we've become.
Well, I think part of the question is that because I don't know about you, but if I was listening to this, I'd be like, I'm not a thermometer. I don't go with the flow. But I think if you actually real, because there has been times in my life that I have been, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And because all you want to do is just be popular or not be, you know what I mean? Like we do search to have that community. But that is why there's an epidemic of nice guys out there. And if you're a nice guy, guess what? You're not really that nice. Because you're doing everything to get something from that. Yeah? So maybe that little feeling that if you're listening to this and you've got it in your stomach, you go, don't call me a thermometer. You know what I mean? Just challenge yourself next time when you have that feeling going, I should say something here. Rather than saying, I should say something, just say it. And just step into it. Because guess what? It's not as scary. And that is the step to go moving into being the thermostat and not the thermometer. Because guess what? If they're your mates and your family, and if they love you, yeah, just like Greg, they might disagree with something that you've said, but they'll stick by you. And if you have to be perfect for them to be in your life, they're not fucking worth it.
Yeah, it's true. I'm loving this bloke more and more by the moment. He sounded like a messiah.
You know, it did not only get
Not my boat, Jamie.
Yeah, me too, mate. That's it too. No, but your husband in life, creating a Boeing pole for Jamie to go. You have a mate, yeah, and they do silly stuff. And what's the next thing? You're like, mate, you're a bit of an idiot last weekend. Yeah, you copped up. Yeah, over it. Let's move on. I know. Okay, cool. Let's go. You know, you don't have to be perfect for people to like you. Yeah. So, and that's why, and always, there's that thing where I'm like, men are great, but as you said, women are great, and everyone is great, but I think that we just need to have a little bit more self-worth. Yeah. About who we are and what we do. That's all. So,
Yep. It's interesting because you look at out of all the things we've just talked about, you look at let's look at the emotions side of it, right? You look at, say, some prominent emotions like fear, in regards to what if I fail, complacency, self-doubt, guilt, resentment. You look at all these emotions, right? Which one do you think keeps men as thermometers more? Fear.
Yeah.
I think it's fear.
Yeah, but what are they scared of? Isn't it the loss of connection?
Their wives.
Well, Marty or so.
What's Marty Sheargull fearful of today? You know, if he had a choice to die, if he could go back in time, we still said what he said. Would he still say what he said, you know?
But is it that what he said was the problem? Or is it that he's lost his job and now he's let down his family? And how's his family going to react to it? Because so it's the love, it's the connection that you miss out of. You know what I mean? That it comes back to.
Yeah, I think the question was a really good question. And I got the fear down. So, you know, like men are scared to step out line for the simple reason. Do they lose their job? Do they lose their wife? Do they lose the respect in their local community? Do their kids' sporting team hate them? I mean, that's where that poor bastard has died. You know, think about it. Everybody hates him. He's probably, you know, he could be thinking about taking his own life right as we speak, which it terrifies me if a man is placed into that position, all about the love of money, all about this perfectly, you know, lead-filled bloody ideology that's going on in the world. It's wrong in my opinion, and I just think we can do better as human beings. And you definitely make the perpetual politician, mate. You say it's like silk. It just runs off your lips when you're speaking.
I feel a wee t-shirt run coming, hey?
Got a pretty idea I made already. I'm just chat GPT and the cream design.
Yep.
James new. Jeez. Promotional. What's that with that? Political Sonic shirt.
Bring back the man.
It's funny about this whole May Sugar thing. I know we've done it for a while, but you just see what Albanese came out with today in response to that. He's hiding it.
Go on. Did he stop?
Tell us, and please tell us, mate. I'm probably going to get banned for this, maybe, because can you say this? What a pussy. Yeah, he's a pussy. Our Prime Minister is an absolute pussy. I thought about what he'd said. And
If I'm moving into politics, I won't have anything to do with it.
You'll see stuff we say.
What do you say? Oh, Paul, going back to what you said, Steve, like what's going through Marty Sheargull's head right now? Is the guy thinking about ending his own life? Where's his circle of friends to support him? Because all media outlets hammered him, lost his job, and social media, everything is all boom, 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 right? And it got brought to the attention of our Prime Minister. And I thought about it, geez, if I was Prime Minister, what would I have said? Because what Albo said is like, oh, you know, you can't say, you know, you shouldn't say this, socialism, or bam, can't say this, you can't say anyway. But he'll say like, oh, you know, his comments were rude and blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking the right response for the Prime Minister should have been, you know what, Marty's a free man, has a right to his own opinions and have his own thoughts. He's entitled to that. Just like any man, any woman on this planet, especially for the Prime Minister of Australia, every person in Australia has the right to have that train of thought. Okay, Marty's expressed it publicly on air. Okay, but he's entitled to that opinion. Let's move on. But instead, he jumps on the bandwagon and crushes it back. So right now going through Marty's head is that it seems to be everybody. No one's standing off the eye. It's sick. It is scary. And I don't know how many of you guys could say this, because you've interviewed me before, you get it, mate. When you get to that point where you're ready to commit suicide, and it terrifies me that this bloke could be in this position, it really, it reminds me so much of the pylon that happens. But fortunately, Marty's only copping it from Australia. It gets worse than that. I mean, even, you know, Sam Kerr, as much as I dislike all the stuff that she's been involved in lately, I feel sorry that she's had the pylon by the media too. But she's been protected by, you know, the lawyers and the big money because they want her to keep selling tickets to see soccer and watch it on TV. But Marty's career, it could very well be over. You know, will he get a job in radio ever again? I don't know. I hope he does. I hope he comes back with a vengeance. But he should be given a fair go. Yeah, if they want to say he made a mistake, put it behind him and move on like they do with the guys that play footy that take cocaine and the girls that vomit in taxis and all that. Treat him like the sportsman that they give another go to. And that's supposed to be the Australian way. And that's the attitude of Australia. The basics are you don't kick a bloke when he's down, you give him a go. You know, that's what we're known for throughout the world. But I think we're losing that analogy. And I think the Prime Minister, as you just put it, he should have kept his nose out of it if he was smart, one. And secondly, he should have said all Australians should be treated equally and fairly. Marty's made a mistake. I hope he's learned from it and we'll all move on.
What do you think he says behind closed doors? Because like analytical is
Sandwich is what he said.
he'd have to behind closed door in public. He goes, right, if I don't pile on like everyone else and give this guy a hard time, the extreme left aren't going to support me, and that's how he is where he is, because the Greens and the lefties are all supporting. So he kind of has to, doesn't he? Because he's already sold out.
That's a thermometer.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
he did it a long time ago.
the PM's a thermometer.
Yeah. Now let's just
Not done by position, not by influence.
Yeah, hello. But let's put it this way, though. We're assuming that that's how Marty feels. Do you know what I mean? So maybe here, but for him to have the best, there might be a great situation where he might have an amazingly supportive wife and family. He might have his mates who rally behind you. He might have that, and he might have been smart with his money and put it away and say, you know what, if you're going to treat me like this after so many years of service, well, so be it. I don't care because I've got my friends and family around me. That, and I hope that is the case, because that can just show you how important having a good group of mates is, how important having a strong family base is, because that is what helps you stand up, and that is what reminds you every day what you work hard for, and why you walk out that door and make a difference every single day. It's not for the benefit of everyone; it's the benefit of the people that you love, that you work hard for.
You're right, and then you're wrong, because like half the world out there is led by that pile-on. That shit shouldn't have happened. That's the problem. And I can tell you now, but I had everybody around me. My good friend, you find out who your friends are when the shit hits the fan. I can tell you. They'd ring you and they ask, how you going? Is there anything I can do for you? And I got lots of that, but my shit hit the fan. But there's still the whole other half out there who they're oblivious. They don't know me. They don't know my wife. They don't know my friends. But because mainstream media says you're an arsehole to the world, half the world believes it without knowing anything that's gone on. So, that's what Marty's up against. And that's the really, really sad part of society that I detest.
Yeah.
People don't know what the hell happened, really. But, it probably is a joke. And it's got out of hand and it's gone crazy on steroids, and this guy's life's been destroyed. That's the really terrifying part. What's occurred, it happens every day to people somewhere in the world, just on different levels that we may never hear about, and it doesn't get publicized in the media. Could be a school teacher, could be a bloody nurse at a hospital. I mean, chuck those couple of nurses that did some pretty stupid stuff about saying they're going to kill people in hospitals.
Hey, have they still got their jobs? Did I read that right? They're still...
Only one of them's being charged. But, yeah, I'm not happy about that.
But it's a bit weird, isn't it, that this guy's losing his job and these guys are... Whatever he's in, walked with like that. Well, they actually openly said they have killed people in the past, where their job is to save people. And old mate is a comedian, says a joke, and is now unemployed.
Wild. Yeah, good point, Craig. Just to go back to those states, and I agree with you 100%. Everyone's piling it. Does that make sense? But I hope that he has that supply network.
100%.
But isn't that a beautiful filtering system, though, for who are the real people around you and who aren't? Do you know what I mean? And I've seen that situation where, I've been down and out, and those guys are helped me out, and others are just like, oh, I didn't even know you were doing it tough. Oh, I told you. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, no, I thought you'd be okay. And I've been on the other end where people have been really struggling, and you go drive 3 hours to go spend the day with them because you're thinking for them, it sounds like this is the end of their work, but So, yes, it sucks that everyone's piling on, but yes, it's a beautiful opportunity for you to filter out the bullshit people in your life as well, too.
Craig, you bet. I wouldn't advise anybody to have to go through it to find out who your friends are. There would be better ways, but, mate, then what? You do really find out who your real friends are, and, sadly, Marty's in that position at the moment. I just feel for Paul Bowman, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know the man personally.
Les, I want to get your final thoughts, but before I do that, I want to ask one more question. If we switch this around, and let's say it was a
boxing match. Hit two boxers, two male boxers, Mike Tyson and Gerber. And you'd said to a female, do you want to come down and watch the boxing match? And she replied, I'd rather eat an hour from there. I'd rather, watch a couple of these meatheads beating each other up, not a chance. They'd what, a couple like a primary schoolyard fight. I'm not watching that. Literally, nearly word for word, but opposite way around. And you got a guy that's been cancelled and lost everything. But how many women don't go to boxing matches because of that very thing? What? Watch two guys beat each other up, like schoolyard fighting, no things. I'd rather, that to me is just silly. Would the result of the outcome be any different or would it be the same?
It's been completely different.
Completely different.
But even just switching that analogy slightly, how many times have we went to the rugby not so long ago, and the girls were all sitting there talking about the lads' legs? Can you imagine what would happen if we sat there and watched a female sports match and started commenting on the legs of the women? Oh, look at the arse on that. Exactly what our wives would say. Oh, he's got nice legs. Can you imagine doing the same thing? Where that would go?
Hence the whole purpose of this, mate. There is an outright war on masculinity.
Yep.
And it's been classed as toxic, it's been classed as misogynistic, but in reality, it's suppressing, it's an attack against men. It truly is. But what brings a change, like I mentioned just a few names at the start, what brings change is when men switch from the thermometers and become thermostats.
Yep.
Men that stand up and go, no, I'm not going to have that. I'm going to protect, I'm going to lead, I'm going to be one that steps into a room, whether it be your career, whether it be your family life, whether it be your community, whether it be your government, men that step into the room as thermostats and go, I'm going to bring the change, I'm going to set the tone, I'm going to set the scene, I will take this on my own shoulders and I will lead. It's those men that bring about the change. And hence why we need so many more. Hence why we say with the average dose, the world needs better men. The world needs men to stand others why they more.
Why not? I think you're right on the money, and your analogy there was absolutely spot on about it's okay for women to say, "Hey, look at those blokes, good looking, good looking blokes, all that sort of stuff."
That's right. Well, Tim, as I do, I'm gay.
Oh, that takes it too.
You can go to just not come by place. Strongly. That's why I miss this from so much.
All this changing, and we've got to promote people. It's like young kids. You've got to let them know they've got to speak their mind. They've got to ask questions. I mean, I remember a kid. I think my mum and dad probably must be pretty pissed off at me because I was always asking stuff like, "How's that happening? Why are we going to do that?" Like people just want to understand, and if you understand, that's half the journey. And if people understand each other, that's getting towards the whole journey. And when men and women can do things unitedly together, mate, they're powerful. Powerful. Like you spoke about your wife. I'm so proud to hear you say that. I mean, I've been the same with my wife throughout our whole working life together. Deb's always done the book. She does the tax. She does all that stuff because personally, I don't like it. The tax just makes me feel bad all the time whenever I'm doing it. But after the day, actually, I'll talk about it after this function here. It's probably not fit for this room. Don't like being taxed. Yeah, no, we'll talk after this. But I've just got to say, really proud. They spend the way you spoke about your wife, and that's partnership.
Absolutely. You should be really proud about it. Oh, I know. I am. And I'm not bad at coming forward with that. Yeah, well, we're coming to next month. It's actually 25 years for us. You catch a of us. I'm getting there. Lads, I want to close with your final thoughts, Jamie.
I think that it starts with any man who wants to make a change. Like if you want to be a leader, just be one. Just step forward and have a crack. Like fear is the only thing that's holding you back. And what you'll quickly realize is that when you do it, it's never as scary as what you thought it was.
Mikie, final thoughts, buddy?
Mate, we need to support each other better. When we see something that's wrong, we need to speak up and as a group of men band together and look after each other. We're pack animals and we should behave more like it.
Well said,
Well, Steve flooded us. I could keep up with these two male cops to get along in the two. They just love each other. Men and women, they're both fantastic. There's no difference. We are one united species who are bred to get this far in the world, and big journey ahead of us yet. And there's a lot of problems to be overcome. And the only way they're going to be overcome is if we've got really smart young people coming through, because eventually we're going to die, and we want these young, well-adjusted men, to be masculine, to be leaders, to look after women, to respect women, and one day marry and have more children and do it all again. So, God bless all ears, and thanks for having me on the show again.
Before you do, can I touch on two things?
I wasn't going to say, you're the politician, he's just shown it.
The left one and the right one.
I think there was one thing Steve said that is that he said there's no difference. I think there is a difference, and that is part of the problem. There's a difference between men, and there's a difference between women. And there's some things that women do that are so much better when they do it than men can do it. And I think there's some things that men can do that we're so much better at than women can do. And it's not because we're better, it's because it's different. Yeah. And one thing that a memory came up on my Facebook the other day, it was when that cricketer, I think it was from Jamaica, West Indies, came over, Chris, I think it was his name, and he asked that reporter out for a drink live on TV. Do you know what I mean? And he got thrown over the coals. Now, the thing that I liked about it was that there was a thing that went around afterwards that went, I'll have a drink with you, mate. And that went around Australia so quick, because what he did was he thought she was attracted, and he said, would you like to go for a drink? So, and I think that now the guy's getting behind him to go, you know what, I'll go for a drink with you, mate. Like, I think that supporting each other is so important. So, yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, mate. Yeah. Just be sorry, though. Just cancel, Jack. Should we ban that word on the show?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Actually, that's good. That's a good thought. Can we never say sorry on this? Sorry. Sorry, no.
So what happens if someone says sorry? What do you do?
Let's come up with something. There needs to be something.
Well, we could have genuine. You do something wrong, give me like examples. Bitch.
Sorry.
Yes.
Look, fellas, I wrote a couple of things that I was thinking about this afternoon about for men next, because predominantly I think majority of men are thermometers. They don't mean to be. I think it's just by default. And I think the world, especially Australia, has forced us to become accustomed to just go with it. And I think that the majority of men are thermometers. And what would it take to become a thermostat? I already got things down. Then the first thing every man should do is audit your life. Give yourself a life's audit. And look at things where are you reacting instead of leading? Is it your career, your relationship, your fitness, your mindset? Write down and get brutal and honest with yourself. You can't lie to anybody more than you lie to yourself, because people believe lies when you tell them. But if you're lying to yourself, you know you're lying, and you lose yourself. So give yourself a life audit. Second thing I do is define the temperature you want to set. If you're going to become a thermostat, define the temperature that you want to set. What kind of man do you want to be? How do you want your family, your career, and your personal growth to look? Instead of just drifting, set yourself clear intentions. The third thing I wrote down was change one habit today. Thermometers wait, thermostats act. If your mindset is weak, start reading books on mental toughness. If you're out of shape, commit to working out. I was just joining the gym today, this week. So just so you can
Breach and use attention.
No, but it's true though. But this is, again, it ties it. Look, if you're out of shape, commit to working out. If you lack discipline, wake up early and take control of your mind. Fourth thing I wrote down was control what you consume. The music, the social media, the news, the conversation, everything influences your mindset. The old saying is you are who you eat. The more of all this crap that gets fed to us, if you consume it, you become it. You are what you eat. Cut out negativity and replace it with fuel that builds you up. And the last thing I wrote was surround yourself with other thermostats. If your circle is full of thermometers, guys who complain, react, and drift, you're going to stay the same. Find men who push themselves and refuse to be victims. If you can find yourself a circle of people like that, That's what's going to bring change. And I can guarantee you this, hand on heart, with what we've created within the Average Joe's Movement, these meetups that we have going on, if you can get yourself to an AJ's meetup, hit up the website, find out where all the meetups are, the times, locations. You're going to find a genuine group of men all on the same journey, committed to become better. You will see men in that group that are committed to this very cause, going from being thermometers and to becoming thermostats. So, gentlemen, I want to close it there. I want to thank you once again for joining on the panel. We have some great content there. Really appreciate it. Steve, thanks for jumping back on again, mate. I know it was the last minute for you, this invitation, but you jumped on and you were there, mate. So I really appreciate it.
Happy to be any time and happy to be a thermostat. Well done. Well, guys, thanks for joining us here once again at the Men's Collective Podcast. We are the Average Joes. Like I say, get on the website, see all the details, jump on our Spotify and Apple, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a review. It all means so much to us. Joan, enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.
Thanks, boys.
Take care, lads.